Hi, and welcome to TV My Husband Hates. I'm Kat Sims.
And I'm Reagan Kempton.
And we are reality TV addicts?
Addicts, aficionados?
Ooh, I like that. Experts.
Experts.
Basically, we know our shit when it comes to reality TV.
100%.
Hey everyone, it's your favorite reality TV podcast, TV My Husband Hates. We are back. How you doing, Reagan?
I'm good. Got some great news in the American news today. So 2020 is turning around.
Listen, this is breaking news. This literally happened just before we came on air.
Yep. Finally.
Joe Biden is president-elect.
Woo!
I was going to say that deserves a car horn, but you're not in your car this week.
Not my car this week. My kids are elsewhere. My husband is elsewhere. So I am free in the basement, not trapped in the confines of the car, living the dream for a couple days.
Well, listen, congratulations to you as an American and one who I know did vote for Biden. So that must be welcome news all round.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, I've always said, I understand the thoughts behind electing Trump the first time. I think there are some valid points where people wanted something different and didn't want a career politician. But I think this year, we're all kind of tired of someone really not giving a fuck about our country. I'm going to say it.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's ever given a fuck about anything in his entire God-given life. And I think we had this conversation earlier. And I think what baffles him, confounds him, is that this is the very first thing he has not been able, not for lack of trying, but he has not been able to buy or bully his way into. Everything in his life previously, he just needs to look at it, go, I want it, and he gets it.
Yeah.
And he can't do it. And I think it's been I haven't been able to stop watching because it's been fascinating to just watch democracy trample over him.
Yeah. Yeah. The people have spoken, and it's an awesome thing. And I'm glad. I don't mind that it's taken so long. I'm glad they're being very diligent in counting all the votes. I think we've had a record voter turnout this year, which is great. So I just hope all those things continue.
Yeah, I do too. It's the next few weeks, I'm sure, will be very interesting. I can't imagine what executive orders his grubby little orange hands are going to be signing between now and is it January the 20th?
It's the 4th, January 4th. Yeah.
You get the feeling he's going to be petulant and kick and start signing some really shitty stuff, which of course Joe Biden can undo when he gets in office. But it'll be his last fuck you.
Oh man, I've been really fascinated by reading Donald Trump's tweets and how on it Twitter has been on banning his falsities.
Even every single news station when he came out to do his second speech saying that it was a fraud. Every single news station, the minute they realized he was just going to say the same thing, cut away instantly.
Good.
And interestingly, Jimmy was a bit but you know what? It feels bad that they're silencing him. Yes, he's talking rubbish, but you feel like everybody should have their thing. And one of the newsreaders said, the problem is we have to fact check what we broadcast. We can't broadcast things without fact checking it. And there's just so much wrong with what he's saying that it's unethical for us to broadcast that. So that was quite interesting.
For sure. I mean, broadcasters definitely have to, make sure what they're putting out there is correct. And I think Twitter realized that as well. I think we're seeing a different kind of social media crackdown too. I know a lot of people will call it a conspiracy to try to silence the right, but you just can't talk shit.
No. And I think it was the mayor of Philadelphia that was I think the president needs to put his big boy pants on. And now that he's out, everybody's finding their voice. I think somebody called him an obese turtle upside down, floundering in the... I mean, honestly.
It's getting ugly.
People have been waiting 4 years to get some of this shit out.
Oh, man. I mean, there's so much else wrong with him. You don't need to be attacking the man's weight. That's just a cheap shot.
I mean, at least start with his hair.
Oh, I mean, just start with the fact that he's a massive racist and a narcissist. Yeah. I mean, there's so much material there. You don't have to go for something so obvious as the weight. You just don't have to go there.
Anyway, the good news is 2020 has been, excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen, fucking us in the ass. But now it feels a little bit like it's taken us out to lunch.
There's a little light at the end of the tunnel, so it's exciting.
And listen, we're back in lockdown. So it's even brightened my lockdown.
Good. I'm glad. We are not as of yet, so. And shock horror, everyone, we actually remembered to do the post bag this week. Sorry, we've dropped the ball on it a little bit. But what was this week's question, Kat?
This week's question was, there has been some pretty terrible behavior at parties this week in the shows. We saw Shep's behavior, all of that nasty stuff. We saw, obviously, the OC didn't party so well this week. So my question this week was, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done at a party? And I did promise to keep it anonymous, so we will keep it anonymous. But I'm going to start with the responses we got on the sticker, and then we can finish with yours.
Yes.
That we got in the DM. So somebody messaged and said, I pissed my pants. Damn tequila and mummy bladder. I mean, God love you. God love you.
We identify strong with that.
I do identify with bladder weakness. I don't think I've ever pissed my pants in public. I mean, unless you count choking on a sausage in front of my mother-in-law in the kitchen when I was 9 months pregnant, public. But, I don't think I've ever pissed my pants in public.
Well, so at the gym, I haven't pissed my pants, but I wore red leggings instead of black leggings, and you could see all the moisture, and it was embarrassing as fuck, and I just ran out. I hit a PR on my run that time, by the way, too.
I bet you did. Anyway, thank you very much for sending that in. We always love a good bladder weakness joke.
Absolutely.
And then the next one, this is one of my favorites, because she was like, I pretended I had to leave the party to go to work, and I came back just when it was over. It was New Year's Eve. I have so much respect for that. How many times you go to a party, and the beginning bit's great, like you're chatting, you're seeing everybody, it's lovely, you have a couple of drinks, especially New Year's Eve when you know it's dragging on, and then you've got 4 hours.
Yeah, it's too long.
Before ding dong. I respect, go home, pour yourself a glass of Chablis, have a bubble bath, come back for the ding dong.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. I'm always a fan of the Irish goodbyes. I think I've done them at my own parties too, where I've just been done, so I just go upstairs and go to bed.
You have. On a number of occasions at parties at your house in Richmond, Thanksgiving, I'd be like, where is she? And we'd still be out, drinking, smoking, and I'd go up and find you asleep, in bed, normally fully dressed. Anyway, I nearly said her name then about the lady who left, but I want you to know there's no need to be embarrassed about that. I think that is something to be proud of.
It is. We are proud that you had the balls to do that. We like that.
Me too. Anyway, tell us yours, because this is one of my faves too.
When at my husband's Christmas party one year, in my wisdom, had worn knickers on top of my tights to keep them up. Eye roll emoji. After much drinking and dancing, while speaking to my husband's boss, I suddenly realized my knickers were around my knees. Imagine trying to style that one out.
Do you know why I laughed so hard at that? Because when I was a kid at school, we had to wear tights, and I did that exact thing. I'd wear a pair of knickers, and then a pair of tights, and then another pair of knickers to keep them, because they never stayed up. But that has just brought me right back to my high school years.
So hilarious. Oh, man.
Oh, I love that.
Love it. Thank you, guys.
If we had prizes, then she would have won.
100%. 100%. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much for participating. We promise we will try to get better about putting them up earlier on so more people can participate.
We will. But let's get on with the shows, because we've got a big lineup this week, in that for the first time really since the beginning of the year, we are on 5 shows.
Yeah, and we'll be on 6 next week, because the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City starts. So
I don't mind admitting I'm a little bit nervous about getting through it all, but I'm going to get through it all. I'll just do it.
I mean, twist our arms. We'll be here for it. I'm excited about Salt Lake City, actually. I think it's going to be a good one.
I am too. I always love a new show, and I think Salt Lake is a great one to get involved with. And it's just fun to get something new and to see what's happening. And we've got a new show this week as well, because Below Deck is back.
Yes, Captain Lee. I started writing down all his good one-liners. I feel like there should be a book just called Captain Lee's, I don't know, like
Captain Lee
life
speaks.
quote. Yeah.
Stud of the sea speaks.
Yes. Stud of the sea advice. I think you could look in that book and find a one-liner for any situation that you might find yourself in.
I mean, my favorite is the one that I posted. I can't remember what it was, but it was something like, I'd rather drag my dick over 10 miles of broken whiskey bottles than have those guys back.
For sure.
Again.
I think last season scarred Captain Lee for life, because he brings it up definitely in this week, and I think he's just done. He's done with that kind of crew.
We're going to get onto it, but I do love the way that he starts every single season with exactly the same speech. Mm-hmm. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass the boat. And you're like, okay, we've all seen it. Come up with something new. New material, please.
Mix it up, dude.
But first up, let's start with Potomac. Those ladies still divided very much down the middle. Still no harmony in Potomac. But let's talk first about Ashley, because she heads back to the therapist without Michael this time, and kind of discusses her potential, probably almost certain postnatal depression that we call it here, but you call it postpartum.
Yeah, we call it postpartum depression here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, we don't call it PPD. Like, there's no acronym for it, but we do call it postpartum depression.
So we call it PND. Anyway, whether you got the same thing, different parts of the
it's all
world.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's basically being fucked after you've had a baby.
Absolutely. I thought it was really, I really like her therapist. I think her therapist is really cool and really understanding, and definitely is listening to her and helping her figure all this out, which is great. I'm glad she's in therapy. I totally identify with her feeling of your body being for utility only versus this sexual being. I think that's something we definitely all go through after having a baby. And I love that her therapist is like, you need a girls trip.
Yeah.
You need to go off on your own and reconnect.
I found that scene quite hard, because when she was asking her those questions, I remember being asked those questions this shows what a basket case I am, but on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
But normally pre-kids for regular bog standard depression, and post-kids for postnatal depression. I remember being asked those questions, and I remember listening to them brought all of that back.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to watch Ashley do this, but I think you're right. And I think it's easier when somebody is like Ashley and open to therapy and open to the fact that there's something wrong. A lot of this has come from her checking in with herself and going, something's not right. And I think a lot of women struggle with that part of it before they even get to therapy.
Absolutely. I think Ashley is really brave. I love that this is on TV. I love that, hopefully it's reaching out to maybe some women who are struggling with the same thing, or maybe women who are like, holy shit, I dealt with that exact same thing and I didn't get help. I think it's a really positive thing to have out there in the world, and just kind of normalizing how we all feel after, how most of us feel after having a baby and the struggles that we actually go through.
Yeah, because I think, everybody struggles to a greater or lesser extent. It's just how far it goes. And I think the women who are generally, women who are generally control freaks, women who are generally very independent, fiercely independent, or have hugely high expectations of themselves struggle the most. And Ashley's one of those. And it's really inspiring to see her deal with it without shame, without embarrassment, to just put it out there and to own it. So for that, I think it's a really important message, and I'm here for it, frankly.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't stop Ashley from deciding. Well, in fact, that encourages Ashley to decide to create this girls trip, and they all head to the photo shoot to do Robin's hat. Bless Robin. This is why I really love these women, because yes, a few of them are crazy football star rich. Right. But actually, what I really like about Robin is that she could be me. I know she's got a basketballer boyfriend, but we all know that money's kind of gone. Yeah. I love that she's just being entrepreneurial and not doing anything massive, just creating hats, selling them, packing them in her living room, and making it work.
Yeah, I think it's something really identifiable. She's a real person, and she's hustling and she's trying to figure out her way out of the tax stuff, and I think it's a great thing for her boys to see, that like anytime they hit adversity, they just like buckle down and figure it out and try to create something to, you know, generate some wealth. And I love how she's like kind of DIYing it as well. Like she doesn't have this massive agency or spending 200 grand on, you know, all this stuff. Like she's keeping it real. She's being smart and, you know, trying to create something of her own. I think it's amazing.
And there's no ego. Like you look at Karen with her perfume, like right off the bat, it was this massively impressive thing that was, do you know what I mean? It was going to be in Saks, Fifth Avenue, whatever it was. And actually she's like, do you know what? I'm just doing my best. I'm packing this shit myself. I'm taking it to the post office. I'm trying to make a buck.
Yeah.
Good on her. Like I love Robin. I have a lot of time for her.
I do too.
But the photo shoot doesn't go quite as planned because, of course, Karen and Wendy get into it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't understand what the tension is between them.
I do.
What is the root cause of all this?
Karen is threatened by really intelligent, smart, strong black women.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she wants to, but she wants to support these women, but she prefers them when she can understand them, when she can put them in a box and go, that's what you do. And I think it helps her if they're married to wealthy men because I think that makes sense to her. But with Wendy, she isn't just a successful entrepreneur. She isn't just married to a rich man. She's got 4 degrees. I don't know if you caught that. She's got 4 degrees, and she's ridiculously intelligent, driven, ambitious woman. And there's not another woman like that on this cast. And I think she can't put her in a box. I think she struggles with her.
No, that's fair enough. I think you've hit that on the head. That makes a lot of sense.
You know, I'm here all week, available for private consultations. But it is interesting, and I think that you know, Wendy brings that up. She's like, you say that you support women. Well, a black woman with a PhD should be something that you support. On the other hand, Wendy isn't always very likable in her achievements.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like, I get that she's proud of it, and she is, but we only needed to see that montage to know that she's not just proud of it, but she uses it to make people feel small sometimes.
Yeah, very true. She definitely did that to Ashley at that dinner.
Yeah, and that kind of gets to a point where you're like, well, I don't care about your 4 degrees.
For sure. I mean,
be a twat.
Yeah, I definitely think she's just figuring out her way. This is her first season, and we always see this, right? With every franchise, the first season's always a little tricky. Saying that, I do at my core like her, and I think she's a really welcome part of the show, and I think she'll find her way with the ladies. And I'm kind of glad somebody's challenging Karen on those types of issues, right? Like nobody else, everybody's kind of made fun of Karen, but nobody's directly challenged her on very valid points. And I like that Wendy's doing that because I think Karen's been left to kind of run rampant in this group as La Grande Dame, whatever the fuck that means.
I agree. Anyway, they decide that they don't decide. They get told that they're going to Portugal. I mean, took a while to get there, but we got there. But we were saying earlier, from Europe, it's easy for me to look at the Portuguese flag and go, what's Portugal?
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't have known.
No, I 100% didn't know. I mean, I know quite a few flags, but I did not know Portugal's flag. I would have known Spain's. So.
I probably wouldn't be able to tell any individual state flag.
See, I can do
Colorado.
Because we have the best one.
Yeah, you do.
Well, real quick, before I move off of the girls' trip, I did find it interesting how originally Ashley was going to invite Monique, but then decided not to invite Monique because of how it would affect the rest of the group. So I think until we see Monique really kind of change, we're just going to see her be left out, and I think that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe I'm stating the obvious. I don't know.
Well, let's move on and sort of wrap up Potomac with Candice and Monique, because this is kind of all we've got left to talk about, and that's a great little look into it. But yet again, Monique, it feels like she's talking the talk but not walking the walk. So she's like, I get it. I'm really sorry. I understand she didn't deserve it. And then legal things happen, and all of a sudden she can't apologize. Now, I don't know how restricted she is once those charges have been filed, but I feel like there could have been some way to reach out and maybe just say, listen, I appreciate you've filed charges, but this is where I'm at now, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that her sort of returning those charges is her lawyer saying, well, this is what you have to do. Like, it's a strategy move.
Right. You have to counter sue.
But I just am like, Monique, just say no. Just go, do you know what? No, I fucked up.
Here's my whole problem with what Monique is doing, is she's still saying, well, two people are the reason the fight happened. Like, no, bitch. You put your hands on somebody else. I don't mean to be rude, but you did this.
Yeah.
The fight didn't happen between two. You made the decision, or you blanked out and everything took over and you raged. But that's you. And it's just, I think, I don't know. I feel like if she had called and apologized, I think Candace could have dropped the charges.
Yeah, I'm sure she could.
And it would have been done. But now it's just going to continuously get drawn out now that she's countersuing.
And it just means that everything that she said previously on the other episodes now seems completely invalidated. And it's just such a crappy way to look at life, because sometimes you fuck up and you just need to say sorry, and actually then it's done. Yeah. And I genuinely believe, with Candace being the way she is, with Chris as her support system, and Chris being friends, that if Monique sent Candace a heartfelt apology, owned that she fucked up and said she was getting help for her rage, it would be done. Maybe 100%. Not done, but the charges would go.
I 100% agree with you.
But that's not where we are, so we'll see.
We'll see.
Okay, let's get on to Below Deck. It's back.
It's back, and it's in the Caribbean. It looks so pretty. It's satisfying my travel porn for sure.
I mean, it's all the traveling we're going to get. It's going to have to do, but it does look beautiful, and it's such a stark contrast now. I think the more we go on with coronavirus, the more we get into 2020, and the more kind of institutionalized in this shit show we become, it's more and more jarring when we see things like Below Deck. Like when I watch them all just hugging each other, even I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, don't touch each other. That's not allowed.
That's pretty dangerous. Don't know if you know. So it is interesting. I'm so excited to see what Captain Lee thinks of coronavirus and the one-liners that he comes out with about it.
They're going to be brilliant, for sure.
But this week we just do that usual getting introduced to a completely, apart from Eddie from 5 years ago, completely new crew.
Completely new crew. I feel like Captain Lee learned his lesson last season, as we discussed very much at length when we did those episodes. I think he's starting fresh for a reason. He just doesn't want to deal with any of those dudes ever again.
Do you think he would have had Kate back if Kate was
I think so. I think so too. I think as we see, like, in this episode, when he's like going through how he likes his coffee and how he likes his morning routine, it's going to be tricky for Captain Lee because Kate just knew those things about him because they'd worked together for so long. So I think it's going to be interesting watching his new relationship with Francesca and how that develops, because they're kind of like they take care of him, right? Like they're his person on board.
It really reminded me of when my job was to tour with Ray Davis and be essentially the chief stew to Ray Davis. Like, I had to make sure that his drink was there, that his vitamin sachets were there, that the right socks were there, that these shirts were ironed. I mean, I ironed every single show night, 22 shirts, and I knew he would wear the same two. But if I didn't iron all 22, he'd want a fucking different shirt. You know, and it was that. Yeah. It was that thing. And so when I saw it's like, this is how I like this is how I like this, I was like, oh God. And there's nothing you can do. Even if you get it right off the bat, it's time.
For sure.
That relationship will just have to, you know, go through the process. But it's good to see Captain Lee back in, well, I was going to say full fitness, but not quite in full fitness.
No, I mean, we learned that he fell in the shower and bruised up or broke some of his ribs, which, you know, like, I talked to my mom, who is a nurse. We talked about this after we watched this season. She was like, he is going to be hurting. It's such a painful injury to have your ribs broken. I mean, thank God he didn't puncture anything vital, but he's going to be in pain like this entire season.
Oh, bless it. Well, at least he's powering on through. Thank God he's got somebody to bring him his breakfast cereal and coffee every morning.
Even if it takes 45 minutes for a bowl of cereal.
Oh, is it Izzy?
It is Izzy, the slowest stew in the world. Oh, man.
You said something interesting when we were talking about her before. You were like, what was it you said?
She wants to be the new Aisha. Like, she's very out there. Like, she likes to talk about, fun, crude stuff, maybe give you a little too much information. But she's slow as fuck, man.
Well, you've got to be able to back that up, right? If you've got that kind of chutzpah and you're kind of an acquired taste, you've got to be fucking shit hot as a
Yeah, and that's where Aisha's got it. Like, Aisha is shit hot and knocks out her job like nobody's business. But I don't foresee the same with Izzy.
No, it's like watching a slow Loris make an espresso martini. I've never wanted to, poke myself in the eye more.
It's like asking your kids to put on their shoes.
Yeah.
Nothing slows down time like asking your children to get themselves ready.
Or your husband to take out the bin. You know when you're cleaning the kitchen and you've been there for an hour and you're doing it all and you're polishing everything and you're like, can you take out the bin? And they're like, yeah, I'll do it in a minute. I'm like, I swear to God.
Yeah.
I swear to fucking God. If I wanted you to do it in a minute, I would ask in a minute. Do it now, please.
Yeah.
You've sat and watched Mandalorian while I fucking cleaned the kitchen for an hour. Fucking press pause, get up and empty the fucking bin.
Right, it's all recorded. It's streaming. You don't have to be there watching it live. Just pause.
No, this is not the 90s where we just had channels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
You couldn't record or stop, or we have the facilities for you to just take the bins out. Anyway,
for sure.
I don't know if you can tell that might be a thing.
That's a button. So let's talk about the new crew. So Eddie is the bosun who, as we previously mentioned, we saw him 5 years ago. I liked him 5 years ago.
I did too. I mean, he's kind of vanilla.
Yeah, for sure.
He feels like a steady pair of hands.
And I think that's what Captain Lee really needs on this boat. He needed somebody that he knew, so he knows at least one thing will be taken care of, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, for sure he's not an abusive misogynist, so
bonus.
He's already winning.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Anyway,
yeah.
So Eddie's back. Let's go through the deck crew first, because we've got Eddie, it makes sense. And then James is the British one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to say, any dude that kind of describes himself as a player, is a red flag for me.
Listen, me too. He's from Blackpool.
Yeah.
No offense to Blackpool whatsoever, but I would say that in Blackpool, it's being a player is kind of the cool guy.
Right.
That being said, I do see hints of him being a decent guy. First of all, he seems to be a good worker. That's always a good thing. Absolutely. And he does seem to have a charm.
Well, what I like is he kind of takes the piss out of himself. I mean, it's a British trait. It's a British trait.
Very British trait.
Every British person you ever meet will be able to do this, and it's lovely and it's charming. And I think that's where he'll probably win me over, when he rolled up his shorts really high. Was, around.
Just as a bit of a dick, but in a really lovable way.
Yeah, a charming dick.
Charming dick. So I'm here for James at the moment, and then we've got Avery, who again, very safe pair of hands.
Oh, and amazing. And has done every single job on the boat, which I like those people. I like the people who you can literally put them anywhere and they get on with shit and they do their job and they do it with a smile and they're fucking happy.
And not just on boats. I like those people in life.
Just in general. Absolutely. Those are good people.
Put a fucking smile on it and let's roll our sleeves up and get on with it. That's all I need out of people.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we see him leave at the end, so... Our love affair with Avery is short end.
And I feel for Eddie.
Absolutely, because Eddie really needed to lean on him, I think. So I kind of think that he'll start leaning on James a bit because James at least knows the job.
But also not to talk about coronavirus again. But did you hear when he's like, my grandma's in hospital. We thought she had the flu.
Yeah.
She's
I
got
know.
It's
so sad.
It's so sad. And you don't know. They don't know.
No. And I do love that he left his job to go be with his grandma. That's something that speaks to my soul. Like, if people are willing to do that for their grandparents, they're generally fucking ace people. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't think we'll see him back, I imagine.
No, I don't think so. But maybe he'll fly back out afterwards. Who knows? But the last person on deck is Shane.
Shane the Wankstain. Sorry. I know it's not very mature. But it's
funny as shit, so it's totally fine.
That's literally what my notes say. Shane the Wankstain.
I put just like he's like a Cali dude. Like, I'm sensitive and I can do yoga and I'm an environmentalist. I'm going to replace all these but he's not going to get shit done. He's not going to do his job. I feel like he's kind of entitled.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
He's like, you know, when the thing is that sometimes with new graduates, I can kind of forgive them this sense of like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed entitlement because they just haven't been beaten around the head by life yet.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Just too naive.
There is this sort of naive optimism about what the world has to offer, and because they've been told their whole lives that they can do whatever they want and have whatever they want, then you know that's the kind of. So there's that, and there's a little bit of me. We saw it with Parker in the previous season.
Yeah.
But this guy is just a little bit too much for me right now.
He's too much, and he's going to be too much for Captain Lee. Like, him doing yoga on his mat right in front of the bridge is not a smart idea. Like, that is not Captain Lee's generational kind of dude, and I think that's going to cause some problems. I don't think it would cause problems if he nailed his job, but he's so green, it's going to be a problem. I don't think he's going to last. That's my prediction.
No, there's absolutely no way he's going to last. He'll be out in, I reckon, 2 episodes.
All right.
Oh, I should have thought that through. 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So that's the deck crew. So really, Eddie's got his work in his hands. I think James is going to be great. Shane is a waste of space and Avery's gone. So this is looking great so far.
Yeah, I wonder who they're going to bring on. If they bring someone else on to replace Avery, I wonder if it will be an older deckhand that we've seen previously. Because typically it is. Like, typically they replace people with people that they know, people that we've seen. So we'll see. So we move interior.
Let's move into the interior. And the new Kate is Chief Stew Francesca.
Chief Stew Francesca. I quite like her right away. I'm getting like Hannah vibes from her, but it's probably just because of the accent, to be really frank. I think she's got a high attention for detail. I love her tablescapes. Like, she's kind of a Bugsy Hannah. And so I wonder if that will continue.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's an edge to her. I feel like you're right. She's very Hannah first season we saw Hannah.
Yeah.
Like, still really into being a chief stew, still really, you know, it's all about the details and this, that, and the other. I don't know how she's going to play out. I'm reserving judgment.
Yeah, by saying she's like Bugsy, I really only mean the table settings because I don't think she's going to have Bugsy's managerial finesse. I think she's probably lacking that.
Yeah, well, we'll see who she's got. So she's got the yoga. Is it Elizabeth, the yoga?
Yes, it's Elizabeth, the mystic. We got 2 of them on the boat. Like, I don't know how much I can handle the woo-woo.
I don't know how much I can handle the woo-woo. Maybe in 2019, I could have handled it a little bit more. But honestly, 2020, I've got 0 time for the fucking woo-woo.
Yeah, no, we're all cynical fucks over here now.
The woman who put out her crystals to charge them today. I know. I don't even know who I am anymore.
Oh, man.
Listen, so Elizabeth, yoga stew, great. She seems kind of a bit of a cat, like, seems a bit like teeth, hair, boobs, and yoga to me at the moment.
Yeah, she feels like one of those, like, yoga influencers you see on Instagram who just do their poses everywhere. Yeah, like, I don't really take them too seriously. We'll see. I mean, I hope at least Elizabeth does her job and does it pretty timely. So I think maybe that is where she'll win us over. But she also disclosed that she would love for this to be the one boat she didn't fall in love with somebody on. And my respect for that goes a little wah, wah, wah,
I know.
Personally.
I mean, me too. I mean, at least call it what it is.
Yeah.
Like, we're not falling in love with people on boats.
No.
We're like, shagging them because they're there and they're fit and you see them like in the sunshine a lot.
And actually, I have loads of respect for that. You do you. Like, you get your rocks off. But don't call it falling in love. Like, don't go down, like, the Jess rabbit hole of, like, the crazy jealousy kind of shit. I don't really want to see that this season.
No. And then last but not least, we've got Izzy.
Yeah. The turtle. The 7-year-old putting on their shoes on the boat.
It's genuinely...
It's so painful.
Infuriating. And I know that my pace is 1,000,000 miles a minute. So I do have to, with my kids and husband,
take it down.
To like take it down. It's like relativize it. Is that
yeah.
Whereas if I think they're taking a ridiculous time, I have to go, okay, is this ridiculous to normal people who go at a regular speed? Because I really am a bit ADHD with life.
Right.
But with her,
it's a whole new level, man.
It was physically painful to watch her do those espressos.
Yes. And why was she putting them in all little separate cups? Like, couldn't she just make one big one and then, like, portion it out?
I have no idea how, but all it is, I mean, I have made Nespressos before. It's literally the bang.
They're the fastest things in the world.
That's the point of them.
I mean, you can talk to the TMI that I still have in my wrist from working old school espresso machines at Starbucks through college, like where you had to like grind the coffee and tamp it in the thing and then put it on the thing and then turn on. I was faster at those than she was with the little cup. Like it was so like I couldn't even watch it. I had to turn my head.
Anyway, I hope she speeds up. Somebody needs to put new batteries in her.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna. I think she's gonna go the way of Shane as well. I think those are gonna be like the cast shakeups of the season. I think they will go.
To be fair, the first few days, hours with the charters was not great. And that guy, when he was like, "Listen, we'll call today a learning curve. We'll call tomorrow. Get it the fuck right." I mean, I think he's being really fucking reasonable, making his own drinks when he's paid literally hundreds of thousands of pounds to be there.
Absolutely. I think drinks are one thing you need to make sure are spot on. Like maybe their suitcases aren't unpacked, but you are knocking those drinks out there because drunk guests are typically happy guests. And as long as they had drinks and like some nibbles, they would have been fucking fine.
That's all you need to do. Just keep the drinks flowing. Like that's 101. It must be hard to come in and within 24 hours have to gel and have your shit sorted out. But that's what Francesca dropped the ball, and she should have just stayed there and made the fucking drinks. Like, sort everything else out later. Send one of your people to the chefs to figure out the timings to bring it back to you. But it was a clusterfuck. And if they don't improve, he's going to get really salty.
He's going to be super salty and very bitchy.
I know. I wouldn't want to be on
I kind of want to see it.
I definitely want to see it, for sure. I pay good money to see it.
Absolutely.
I do pay good money every month to see it.
Yeah.
And then let's move on to the OC, where...
No. We need to speak about Rachel, the chef.
Oh, I forgot about Rachel.
Yeah. So we've got a female chef who actually puts out beautiful food. She's a bit of a nutball because I think to be a chef, you just have to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But her food is gorgeous.
Her food is beautiful, and she knows what she's doing. And she reminds me of one of the first chefs. Remember the young, skinny, tall guy who used to work? He had like blonde hair. He was a bit sensy as well, and I can't remember his name. Anyway,
the yoga guy.
Food. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's got more balls than him. I almost think she's kind of a female Ben.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Ben's food was gorgeous, but like earlier seasons, Ben was a little off his rocker. Like he got better through the seasons, but I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. I kind of like her. I
like her a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
But she does, like, having seen some of the trailers, she starts to scare me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in a room and find that my back was turned and then she was there. Like, I feel like she's scary.
It makes you feel unsafe.
It makes me feel unsafe.
But what I'm really curious about is, obviously, we're going to see the outbreak of Corona through this. Are they going to all have to stay on the boat all the time? Like, not be able to go and have their drinks out or whatever?
I would imagine so.
That's going to be...
I mean, I can't imagine it being
maybe
any
that's
other
why
way.
she goes crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're allowed out into these big harbors to go and drink and eat and stuff.
Right. Granted, it was the Caribbean. Like, I don't know what the Caribbean did as far as lockdown. Like, obviously, if they were in the Med, that'd be a different story. Like, Italy would be
of course,
shut
they're
down.
not in the Med.
But they're in the Caribbean, and so I don't. Maybe I need to do some research on what they did, or we'll obviously see it. But
we'll find out.
We'll find out.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump the gun there and
No, that's all right.
Now, shall we go on to the OC?
Yeah.
It feels like a bit of a downer, doesn't it, after Below Deck?
It does. Like, I kind of miss lighthearted shows. Because I feel a lot of the season is going to revolve, and rightly so, around like Bronwyn quitting drinking and the struggles that she goes through. And I think that's fair. But it's just like, I think it's going to also bring out the worst in a lot of people. And that's going to be uncomfortable watching.
For me, it's definitely bringing out the worst in Shannon. And this whole thing with this sad little place, do you know what? I believe them both.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely at this point believe them both. I'm certain Shannon said it. I'm also certain she didn't realize she said it. It just came out as it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That. But all she needs to do, especially considering Bronwyn is it worth it, Shannon?
Yeah.
Is it worth it when you know that Bronwyn has to hold on to this truth because it's all about her truth and this is the only thing she's got? That's what the steps teach you. Is it worth it to not just go, do you know what? I talked about your house behind your back. I don't know if I said that. Maybe I did, and I apologize.
Yeah. I think it would be fine. Knowing Gina, it would all be fine.
It would be done.
And I think this is Shannon's downfall. Like, I think she's going to hold on to this with a death-like grip. And it's going to ultimately be her downfall, because I think you're absolutely right. All Shannon needs to say is say exactly that to Gina, and Gina would be fine. Gina would be like, you know what? That's fine. Like, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Bronwyn's right as well. I think, honestly, Shannon does have a problem. She wants everything to look and be perfect.
Yeah.
And she will defend that. She's never apologized a day in her life.
No.
So this is very difficult for her. And because of this, it's triggering Bronwyn in a whole other way.
Right.
And I think that was the reason. That conversation with Shannon was why she kicked off at Gina. I don't think it had anything to do with Gina.
No.
I think Bronwyn could have handled that mini confrontation with Gina in a much more controlled manner if she hadn't been
riled up.
Really, by Shannon in that conversation.
I think so too, because I think it's got to be hard when you know what you've heard, you're not inebriated, and like you are speaking the truth to what you heard. And I feel like nobody's kind of respecting that. Obviously, a lot of them don't know, and that's fine. I think that's addressed later on. But I can't imagine what Bronwyn's going through right now. I'm sure it's going to be hard on the other ladies, because I think they are going to have to watch like what they say. Like, all those convenient things that people just forget about are not going to be forgotten anymore. And I mean, maybe it's going to force everyone to be more honest, or it's just going to be a lot of fights.
Well, it's really interesting to see Bronwyn work through all of this stuff in real time as well. Almost like you see her come to that realization in the car when they're on their way to the AA meeting, recognizing that she did go in hard. She was triggered. It was her own stuff. And she went in hard on Gina, and she's like, oh, fuck, I fucked it up. It's really interesting to see that. And to see her be able to process it because she's sober. But that's normally the kind of stuff that people take themselves out of situations to do. And to see her doing it amidst all of this is a lot.
Absolutely. So we were tagged on Instagram by @MHRBurton on this Entertainment Tonight interview with Bronwyn, kind of talking about this season. Obviously, she gave this interview like now, so it's a look back on kind of the season and what she's gone through. And what I found really interesting about that interview. Thank you so much @MHRBurton for tagging us, because it was really interesting. But
Please subscribe, rate, and review TV My Husband Hates wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TV My Husband Hates and join the Facebook group to keep the conversation going when the podcast ends. If Twitter's your thing, you'll find us at TV Husbands Hate. Theme music and production for TV My Husband Hates by Jimmy Sims.